Hello, good day, dear students. How are you at this moment? I do hope that everyone is doing well after the first week of our regular classes, no? Although virtually. I had already uploaded to you your instruction, no, for the chapter 1. So I had already uploaded the readings as well as also the accompaniment of video. So I do hope that you were able to read already the readings and have watched the synthesized video, no, for you to have the idea of the contents for chapter 1, which is the self from the various philosophical perspectives. No? So I had also given you your first written test. No? So the written test is also in connection to the chapter 1. No? So basically, the written test asks you about how will this subject as a whole, no, the understanding the self, will help you first as a student right now, and then later when you become professionals. No? So this is the most important questions that I am asking students at the onset of the semester. No, it is very important that students themselves are aware of the purpose why this subject is being taken. Why is it that this subject is included in your curriculum? What is the purpose of taking up this course? How will it benefit you, no, in the short term and in the long term? No, so as students, it's really important that you know what are the benefits. No? What are the benefits of giving your effort, in reading the materials, in complying with the requirements? What will it be up to you? What will be the end goal for you? So that's why I'd like to know what are your expectations and how do you expect this subject to help you? No, because it's really difficult for students to be motivated. It's difficult for students to give their self or the 100% effort if they do not see the benefit of the subject that is given to them. It's really hard to study your lessons, to read the materials. So that is why it's really important, no, that students at the start of the semester knows why will this what to what end will this subject benefit me. No, so it's important that the subject help you right now. There are already benefits for you right now as a student, and later, most importantly, as a professional. So this will be conducted hand in hand. Now we're going to work this out together and impart important knowledge, no, specifically to help you understand yourselves better, no, and in some ways this will help you in the short term and in the long term. So I'm very happy that most of you were already. I have checked the Google form, and some of you had already answered the written test. No, some have answered quite comprehensively, and I really appreciate, no, because this written test, the purpose of these questions is mainly for you to have a self-reflection. No, this is an opportunity for you to reflect. No, how are we going to work together, and how are we going to have this journey together in uh, discovering more about yourselves. No? So if you were able to really reflect more, you were able to narrate more about yourselves, congratulations, because you had already started that journey of knowing yourselves better. No? But for those who had given, I don't know what kind of answer, a one sentence or a two sentence answer, I don't know if you were able to have a full introspection about yourself. So that's up to you. No, I will provide you with the grade that is corresponding to your effort. But again, that will defeat the purpose of knowing yourself better. No? So I do hope that you will have this opportunity wherein the activities that I'm going to give you, the readings, all of these are opportunities. Now, these are mirrors wherein you can glance and you can better see yourself and know yourselves better. Okay, so that's about it. And let's now delve to the chapter 1. So the presentation that I had prepared you today is not really a recap, no, of everything that you had already read and the video that you had already watched, I'm assuming, because that would have explained it in more detail. Now, if you had given the time to really watch it and to read it, you will already have an idea. So what I'm going to give you this day is more of my self-reflection, what more of my understanding of the importance of self, no, in terms of the chapter. So we go to chapter 1, lesson 1. Okay. So in chapter 1, we have encountered the various philosophers of the self. No? So when we talk about philosophy, it's the more comprehensive asking. Now, when we talk about the philosophers of the self, it's about asking the million-dollar question, who am I? No? So you can ask yourself, who are you right now? Do you know the answer to that? No? So a lot of thinkers throughout history have tried to give us an answer. No? So in those times, no, they have lots of free time. No? They don't have social media. They don't have the type of lifestyle that we have right now. So there is a lot of free time during their time. That's why they were able to really have a more uh, opportunities wherein they were able to transcend and ask questions about what is the self. No? So Greek philosophers like Socrates and Plato believed that the self is composed of the body and the soul. No? So pag sinabi natin self, meron tayong katawan and may kaluluwa. How many of you believe na may kaluluwa kayo? No? So as early as the Greek philosophers, they already believed that there's an existence of the body and the soul. The soul is the higher self wherein it transcends beyond death. No? And of course, Saint Augustine believes that in a religious perspective that the self is an image of God. No, we are the temples of the Holy Spirit. No, and however, because of sin, sin is the impediment, no, wherein we cannot fully achieve the fullness of the self destined to us by God. So the more that we challenge ourselves, the more that we stay away from sin, then that's the more opportunity that we can to achieve the transcendent self, no, that we have. And of course, we have Rene Descartes, no, and David Hume, Immanuel Kant, no, that had believed about the importance of reason, the importance of knowledge. No, reason and knowledge are key components that helps us understand better. No, helps us understand better ourselves. No, internally and externally. No, John Locke also had the main emphasis of John Locke has circled on memories. No, according to John Locke, our self is composed of the memories that we have, no, from the present and the future. Gilbert Ryle had focused more about the language, no, the language that we use, the meanings that we interpret in the words that we speak, describes who we are as a person. Sigmund Freud, from the psychological perspective, offers us about the three states of the mind, the ego, the I, and the superego, which governs all our actions and our behavior. And we have Paul Churchland, which identifies the self as, biologically speaking, pag sinabi natin self, that's the brain, according to Paul Churchland. The brain which which is the center of everything that controls or that orders all our actions. And of course, Maurice Merleau-Ponty uh, focuses naman about our meanings, the meanings that we give to ourselves. No, do you see the meaning in your life? No, if you're going to ask yourself right now, what are the meanings that I attribute to myself? No, so these are the philosophers. No, I will not give in detail. No, but all of this had given us an impression that the impression that they had given is that the self is important. No, above all other else, no, achievement, success, fame, the self is the most important thing that we should ascribe for. And our number one mandate, no, our number one obligation here on earth while we live, while we exist, is that we should know ourselves. Now, there are different avenues of knowledge. No, we have the knowledge of the material world, knowledge of the spiritual world, and napakarami pa. But according to these philosophers, the number one knowledge that is the first priority or the first thing that we should took upon ourselves is the knowledge of ourselves. No, tayo lang ang may kakayanan, no, na mas kumilala sa ating sarili. No, it's not our parents, it's not your instructors, it's not your friends, it is you yourself. No, walang ibang taong mas kikilala sa iyo kundi ikaw lamang. So that's why it's really scary. No, and it is somewhat disappointing if some people do not know themselves entirely. Because when people do not know themselves entirely, that's the tendency that they get lost in the world. That's the tendency wherein they are easily manipulated or they are easily exploited by other people. No? Because they do not know their self. They do not know their strength and their weaknesses. No? That's why I think it's safe to say that when you have a full understanding of yourself, then you will have a firm grasp of your destiny. You can clearly project where am I going, what am I going to do with my life based on who I am and what I think I can do. No, so napakahalaga yan. No, understanding the self has a lot of important repercussions because it affects your life right now as a student, and most especially later in your life as an adult, as a professional. No, so that's the number one priority that we should have, is to understand ourself. No, all the aspects of ourselves. Okay, so yun lang yung bottom line ng mga philosophers, and I'm really hoping na given the environment that we have, right now we have the social media, we have the mobile games, we have the YouTube. Ang daming how can I say, ang daming oras na nasasayang, no, and some of it are not really that profitable to us, no. So I'm really hoping that through this subject, we can create time and opportunity, a quiet time, for ourselves, wherein we can think about the things about ourselves, to know ourselves better. No? So that is our goal in this class. No? The goal of this class, and the goal that I have in mind as an instructor, is not really for you to memorize information. No, I am not here to have a guessing game or multiple choice about the different philosophers. No, so we're not really after about that. No, our goal really is for you to have a more deeper understanding of yourself, so that you can have a better control of the outcomes that you will have in your life. No? So put that in yourself. No? Make that as your goal. No? Na before this subject, let's say that you know yourself 20 or 40%. Let's make it after the course, you will know yourselves 70 or 80%. No? So that's our goal. Okay? So we will discuss the many selves. No? We get confused about the many selves, and how do we understand the various selves, and how does the many aspects of the selves help us, no, in understanding who we are as a person. So the first concept is the self-knowledge. Now, when we talk about self-knowledge, is the genuine information. Genuine information that we have about ourselves. No? Genuine talaga. So when we talk about the self-knowledge, napakalawak yung coverage ng self-knowledge. No? We have the personality traits, the needs, the goals, values, no? Opinions, physical attributes, no? Patterns, and social identity. So when we talk about self-knowledge, what makes self-knowledge unique is that self-knowledge is obtained through self-reflection, no? From internally self-reflection, at the same time through interaction with others, from the feedback that we get from others. So the things that we reflect for ourselves and the feedback that we get from other people, when you combine that, the internal and the external information, you combine that, you will have a more holistic idea of yourself, and that is called the self-knowledge. Napakaganda ng self-knowledge because hindi lang siya biased, because you are incorporating also the opinion of others. No? So that's why it's really, this is the goal. This is the goal of this subject, that for you to gain a more higher idea of your self-knowledge, or more information to enrich your self-knowledge. No? Okay. Next we have is the self-awareness. So self-awareness, this is the what we call the process. The process or the path towards self-knowledge. No, pag sinabi natin self-awareness, meron kang idea or nararamdaman mo yung mga experience mo. Meron kang capacity to explain your experiences. You have the capacity to understand your emotions. Bakit ba ako nagalit sa sitwasyon na ito? Bakit ba ako tumawa? No? Bakit ito naging reaction ko sa sinabi niyang gano'n? So, if you have that capacity of parang meron kang konsensya, parang meron kang inner self that gets to reflect or gets to explain the things that you said, the things that you do, then that means that you are self-aware. There are some people na nagsasabi lang sila, nagsasalita sila, or they do something, but sometimes hindi nila maintindihan why have they done that. No, they are at a loss, no, or they are confused. Bakit ko ba nagawa yan? Or sometimes bigla, kumbaga, they are very spontaneous, they are very impulsive, without really knowing the reasons behind that, without really knowing why have they done that in the first place. Then it means that there is a low self-awareness in you. No, so that's why na if we are targeting, or our end goal is self-knowledge, the skill, no, self-awareness is a skill that we should practice all the time. No, when we are in a situation, self-awareness means parang nararamdaman mo na parang magagalit ka, nararamdaman mo na parang naiinis ka na. So therefore, kung may self-awareness ka na parang magagalit ka or mapapamura ka, then a person who has a greater mastery of the self, instead na sasabi ka ng masakit na salita, or you're going to tantrum, or may gagawin kang hindi maganda, because of self-awareness and because aware ka sa mga tendencies mo, rather than do that, you'll just walk away or you'll just ignore the person. No? That is self-awareness as a skill. Alam mo yung mga tendencies mo, alam mo yung mga pwede mong gawin, and therefore you act on it right away before your instinct. No? Parang kumbaga yung self-awareness mo is your reason or the rational self. No, na before yung instinct mo na galit is gusto mong manakit, gusto mong mang-away, but because you have self-awareness, no, you have your reason, no, so you control yourself. No, you control yourself. So again, self-awareness, that is the footpath, or that is the way towards self-knowledge. Next, we have the self-concept. No? Pag sinabi natin self-concept, that is the image about oneself. No? Sino ka ba? Who am I based on myself? Sa iyong pagkakakilala, sino ba ako? So itong image na to, this can be built up, no? Based on your kaya lang ang self-concept kasi more about personal impression. No? It's a biased personal impression of yourself. No, and that is why self-concept may or may not be realistic. No, that's why na may mga tao na tinatawag natin na delusional. No, delusional because they have a self-concept that is beyond reality. No, beyond the actual facts that can be observed in real time. No, so self-concept is okay, no, pero it's not sufficient, no, because it is a biased image of ourselves. No, so self-concept is one way of knowing ourselves, but kailangan natin yang i-balance lagi. No, we need to balance that always by getting feedback from other people. No, nagiging uso to ngayon. Nagiging uso to ngayon na sa social media na yung mga tao na they believe so much about their self-concept and they block the opinion of others. No, so in a way that is delusional, in a way that is self-serving. No, because you only accept that part of you and reject the impression, or the projected self seen by other people in you. No, so self-concept is one half of your self-knowledge. No, self-concept is one half. No, so if you want to have it whole or complete, to become a self-knowledge, you need also the social self, no, or the impression of others of you. No, so self-concept is important. It's a start. It's a starting point, no, to eventually obtaining self-knowledge. Self-esteem, no? Yung kanina, self-concept and self-knowledge is really more about your cognitive or your thought about yourself. Self-esteem is more about the emotion, no? How do we value yourself? Do you love yourself? Yun yung mga feeling. Yung feeling na mahal ko yung sarili ko, aalagaan ko yung sarili ko. No, I will not allow people to hurt me. I will not allow people to put me down. Or I will do this because I love myself. I will pamper myself because I love myself. That is self-esteem. No, or if you don't like yourself, no, that's why people sometimes are irrational. That's why some people, they engage into unhealthy behaviors or risky behaviors, siguro like into bad habits or risky behaviors because perhaps they don't like themselves. They are escaping life, or they are trying to portray a self that is ideal na hindi sila. No? So self-esteem is very important. No? Self-esteem para sa akin is an outcome. No? Kapag kilala mo na yung sarili mo, no, when you have a healthy self-concept, If you have a full self-knowledge, kapag kilala mo na yung sarili mo, mas madali mong mamahalin ang sarili mo. No? Do you agree? Do you agree with that? No? That's why na, like, for example, in a relationship, we really have to know the person. No? We really have to make an extreme effort to know the person well. Because it's difficult to love and to like the person if you do not know that person very much. No? So that's why unfortunately during this time baliktad. No, baliktad, no, na minahal muna natin bago kinilala. No? And that's why that's the wrong approach in a relationship. No? Kasi minahal natin and then found out na hindi pala siya karapat-dapat or hindi bastos pala siya or walang modo or and all those stuff. Paano? Minahal mo na. Diba? So you are stuck to that person. No, because inuna mo yung esteem or yung affection. No, so hindi dapat, no? The ideal talaga is knowledge and concept. You really have to know the other person before you can truly love that person. Mali yan na mamahalin mo muna. Sige, mahalin na lang kita and later na lang kita kilalanin. And that's the reason mainly while there are so many failed marriages, there are so many failed relationships because they fail to know the person very, very well before loving that person. Okay, so same also with ourselves. No, so if you want to love yourself better, try to know and understand yourself better. No, kasi kung malalaman mo yung sarili mo, mas madaling magpatawad ng sarili. If may mga times na nagkakamali ka, if may mga times na nagkakamali ka ng desisyon, no, it's okay. Madaling magpatawad because alam mong may mga kahinaan ka and may mga bagay kang dapat mong pag-igihan pa sa sarili. No? So, kapag may ganun kang attitude, hindi ka magagalit sa sarili mo. Hindi ka ma-frustrate sa sarili mo. Instead, sa sarili mo, okay lang yan. Normal lang yan na nagkamali ka lang. So, patawarin mo yung sarili mo and do better next time. That's the healthy attitude. And that's the healthy self-esteem. No? So, that's the challenge. Another challenge also for us. Now, how do we build our self-esteem? Paano natin mamahalin yung ating sarili? No? So, ayan yung challenge. No? Kailangan natin mahalin ang ating sarili bago mahalin ang iba. No? So, mahirap magmahal ng ibang tao if in the first place, hindi mo mahal ang sarili mo. Okay? O, may hugot na yan. Okay? Because, paano mo mahalin ang ibang tao if hindi mo mahal yung sarili mo? That's why na, yan yung nagiging problem, no? Na they had given so much to that other person na kapag nawala yung person, wala ng love na natira sa kanilang sarili. They get emotionally wrecked. No? They become depressed. They become suicidal. But a person who is whole in terms of self-knowledge and self-esteem, mawala man yung sarili na yan, yung ibang tao, mawala man yung ibang tao, walang problema because nandito yung sarili ko. I know that I can live without that person and I'm confident na may makikita akong ibang tao. That's the advantage of a person who has high levels of self-knowledge and self-esteem. So I do hope this talk really helps you, because a lot of these things are really helpful, even right now. I don't. It's really unfortunate na I cannot have you right now in class. You cannot give me feedback. How are you right now, or what are the struggles that you have right now in life? But I'm really confident that these concepts, can really help you right now kung may mga pinagdadaanan man kayo sa buhay. Okay, so the next is the self-identity. When we talk about self-identity, these are the different roles. These are the different characters that you play in the social background or in the social arena. So may iba-iba tayong character. So ako, I have a character being an instructor. So when I have a self-identity as an instructor, my thoughts, my actions, my behavior reflect what is an instructor. No, so kung ano yung idea natin or perception natin ng instructor, yun yung self-identity ko. But I'm totally different. I'm a totally different person kapag ako naman ay isang friend or a parent or a child. Or for example, a Filipino resident. No? So iba-iba yung mga social role natin. No? And yung ating mga actions, ang ating feelings, ang ating behaviors, nagva-vary or nagde-depend. Depende sa kung ano ang iyong ginagampanang papel. So again, like what I've said, ang isang teacher, iba yung kanyang predispositions sa kanyang students versus kapag siya ay magulang at ang kanyang kakwentuhan or ka-interaction ng kanyang mga anak. No? So, magkaiba yun. Magkaiba ang tao kapag nandito siya sa loob ng classroom as an instructor, no? versus siya bilang isang magulang kaharap niya yung mga anak niya. So, we have those self-identity. No? We have different identities. And that's why na we have to be very conscious. No? How are we going to act? How are we going to react based on the different identities that we play? No? So some people get confused. No? Get confused of their identities. No? So siguro magandang example dito na ang identity mo ay bilang friend. No? But you are acting na parang may something. So when you do that, no, the other person gets confused. No, because you are showing signs contrary to your identity as a friend. No, so if you want to be in another level, or like for example, kung gusto mo, if you want na manligaw ka or you intend to become a lover, no, you have to be vocal that you are aspiring the self-identity of a lover. No, because if your identity is a classmate or is a friend, and you're giving signs of a different identity, then that creates confusion. No, that creates confusion. That's why may mga term tayo ng mga friend zone. No, may mga no labels. No, so that doesn't help really in terms of improving the relationships that we have with people. Okay. And of course, the social self. No? When we talk about social self, this is the idea to how the individual thinks other people perceive himself, herself. Ano ba yung sinasabi ng tao tungkol sa'yo? How does the people see you? What are the impressions of people about you? No? So, people will have different impressions. No? So, do they see you as a good person? No? Do you see yourself as do the people around you perceive you as a responsible, respectable person? No, a lot of people see this as an important aspect because we're living in a social world. We are interacting with people sa bahay. No, we are interacting with people in our home, and ano ba yung tingin ng tao sa'yo? No? So sometimes it's really important that we try to consider the perceptions of other people with us. This is one thing of getting that part of information that will give us, no, our idea of our self-knowledge. No? So again, napakarami yung impression sa atin ng ibang tao. No? So again, that depends on you. No, that depends on you if you would agree or you would disagree. Siyempre, di naman lahat ng impression ng tao sa atin ay tama. No, the one thing that is dangerous lang is if you do not know yourself that much, and then people give you their impression, no? Minsan magiging bothered ka or mako-confuse ka, no? Because hindi mo kilala yung sarili mo. Or sometimes yung ibang tao na napipikon sila because nasabihan sila ng ganitong perception, no? Like for example, before in my previous classes, in my class before, when they're still face to face, I always ask my students what are their first impression of me, no? And I have heard a lot of first impression, and some of it are siguro yung pinaka outrageous or pinaka nakakagulat is that may mga impression sa akin na I am homosexual or gay. May mga impression din na I am bisexual. No? Siguro they had made that judgment based on how I talk, or siguro how I project in front of class. So, siguro sa mga tao na hindi pa ganun kilala yung sarili nila, or siguro may mga in denial pa sa kanilang sarili. So, that impression is offensive, no? Being labeled as homosexual. No, but for me, no, who I truly know myself that much, I'm not affected. No, so tinatawanan ko na lang 'yan, and sabi ko na, wow, ang galing ko namang artista, no? I felt honored na I led you to believe that I am homosexual, but in fact na I'm not. No, so if you know yourself that much, you will not be affected by the gossip or the false narrative given to you by other people. No? So alam mo naman kasi, no? So yun yung that's why it's really important to have that healthy self-concept or that healthy self-knowledge, because kung tama yung binibigay sa iyo na feedback ng ibang tao, then you will take it as a compliment. Okay, tama yan, correct yan. But if they give you a false impression, then you will not be affected because deep inside you, alam mong hindi ikaw yan. No? So para sa iyo, mga ano lang yan, chismis lang yan. These are just noise because this is not me. No? So you will not mind this person. But if you're going to mind it, then that is scary because it means hindi mo pa tunay na kilala yung sarili. That's why affected ka. Yung mga tao na hindi affected because alam nila na that's not themselves. So yun. So it's really important, no, that it's good to know also the feedback of other people, no, because it will help us in the long term. But at the same time, no, do not allow also the false impression or the false feedback to affect you because alam mo sa sarili mong hindi ikaw yan. Okay? Sige. So, the next question is that why more people don't seek self-knowledge? So, bakit ba ang daming mga taong hindi nagbibigay ng oras para mas kilalanin ang kanilang sarili? So, I've already given one explanation. No? Sabi ko, there are a lot of distractions this time. No? So, you have a lot of distractions, my TV, my cellphone, trabaho, ang dami. Ang daming, halos kulang na yung isang araw natin para umupo lang sa isang tabi, mag-meditate, at kilalanin palalo yung ating sarili. No? So, but then again, that is up to you. No? Because kung talagang, if you're really that determined, you will find time. No? You will really find time to know yourself better. No? There's always time. Time lang siguro ang isang commodity na hindi nauubos. No? So, it's just up to you to find that time for yourself. This is not for others, but for yourself. To improve yourself. Other explanations also, no? And you're lucky by the way. You're lucky by the way because at least nagkaroon kayo ng subject. No? You're fortunate because you had a subject and you will be given the opportunity, you will be given the activities for you to know better, to know yourselves better. Others don't have this luxury. So I do hope that you will grab this opportunity to really know yourselves better and improve yourself in the long term. Other explanation is that some people are not courageous enough because they feel that it is a risk. Because some people, siguro may mga trauma sila. They have trauma of their past or natatakot sila na it will alter the self-concept that they had created for themselves. May mga tao na they had made up a self-concept na somewhat fictitious or masyadong overblown. And sometimes natatakot sila na mas kilalanin yung kanilang sarili because they know na baka hindi nila magustuhan yung self na yon o yung self na yon ay malayo doon sa mga nakikita nila sa social media. No. This is the problem nowadays na yung mga tao, they want to project the self na maganda sa ibang tao or maganda sa social media pero hindi yun sila. No? So there is what you call the pagkukunwari. There is what you call that pagsisinungaling sa sarili. And that's not healthy, by the way. Now, you can post it on social media. You can lead others to believe na okay ka, na maganda yung buhay mo, na sikat ka and all. But deep inside, ikaw mismo, alam mo sa sarili mo na hindi yan totoo. No? And that creates tension. That creates negative energy in you. No? So, may mga taong ganon. But hopefully, hindi kayo kasama sa mga taong ganon. No? No matter how risky it is, no matter how painful, no matter how disappointing the journey will be, it's still important that we seek the truth. We seek the truth of who we are and who am I. No, that is the only thing na we deserve in this life, the truth about ourselves. Another is that culture is interested, ito pa, no? So, social media especially, our culture, mas mataas yung emphasis sa ano ba yung estado ng buhay mo, ano ba yung na-achieve mo, did you have high paying salary? Do you have a car? Do you have a house? Do you have money? So, yung tao, because these are social expectations, they tend to achieve more about the material achievements rather than the truth, no, and the knowledge about themselves. This is sad, no, because knowledge of the self or the truth of the self, that is long-term satisfaction, that is long-term meaning for ourselves that transcends beyond material things. No? Yung mga sagot sa tanong na bakit ba ako nabuhay, ano ba yung purpose ko sa mundo, ano ba yung dapat kong gawin sa mundong ito, why did God created me, those are the truth na when you were able to answer them, parang napakalaking fulfillment, napakalaking ginhawa, na it's as if that you had lived already your life as it is supposed to be. Kasi kapag when you chase material success, walang katapusan yan. No? Even the billionaires, hindi pa rin sila kontento sa billion nila. They still seek more. So walang kapaguran, walang katapusan. But when you find the truth about yourself, then it creates this feeling of being liberated. It creates this feeling that you are freed from this world because you have achieved your truth. So, kapag nalaman mo na yon, parang yung mga material na yan, nandyan lang yan. No? Madali mo yung ma-achieve. And napakaganda because alam mo sa sarili mo na yung purpose mo is not directed or dictated by the material world or the material success. No? So, siguro yan yung lesson that is that is the lesson that we have, why we should always seek the truth, which is self-knowledge. Okay, so ano ba yung purpose ng self-knowledge? The end goal of self-knowledge is self-mastery. No? Kasi kapag nakuha mo na yung information na kung sino ka, ano ba yung mga strengths and weaknesses ko, ano ba yung mga kaya, hindi ko kayang gawin, ano ba yung gusto kong gawin sa buhay, no? That's the time that you can get self-mastery. No? The desires, it gives you that satisfaction, no? Make sense of your experiences. Ang taong may self-knowledge is not afraid to embrace challenges. Hindi ka talaga matatakot sa mga challenges because alam mo sa sarili mo na kaya mo yan and you have the tools, you have the skills to overcome these challenges. When you have self-mastery, kagaya nga ng sabi ko, hindi ka maapektuhan sa mga false information that people project or people say about you or people slander about you. No? Kapag may self-mastery ka, hindi ka basta-basta nag-give in. No? Lahat tayo may mga cravings tayo, may mga vices tayo. Aminin man natin or hindi, lahat tayo may vice. Lahat tayo may mga bad habits. But if you have self-mastery, then you will have that ability to control. You will have that ability to discipline yourself against these cravings. No? So you will not be enslaved by your bad habits. And when you are not enslaved by your bad habits, then napalaking ginhawa yan because you will be living life to the fullest. You will living your life according to the good things that God has planned for you. And also, self-mastery is the first step for positive change. No, if you want to change your life, if you want to introduce change, the first step is to acknowledge na may mali ka, to acknowledge na may mga decisions kang maaring hindi tama or hindi correct. So you have to acknowledge that. No, you will have to have the accountability, no, for you to, kasi kapag alam mo yung sarili mo, alam mo kung ano yung mga parts na mahina ka, then you can acknowledge na I can do better. I will do better. No? So that's why self-mastery is important. Ano pa? What are the benefits of self-mastery? Less work frustration, less insecurity. No? Ito yung sakit natin, no? Especially in the social media, sa news feed. Marami tayong nakikita, and if you are prone to insecurity and envy of the achievement of others, then perhaps mababa ang iyong self-knowledge, mababa ang iyong self-mastery. No? Because a person who has self-mastery, hindi siya ma-insecure, hindi siya ma-envy sa ibang tao because he can appreciate, no, na although sasabihin niya sa kanyang sarili na although may achievement sila, may ganito silang pinopost, ako din mismo, may mga bagay din na magaling ako, may mga bagay din na may achievement din ako. So that's why and ako, I am created uniquely, may mga bagay akong kaya kong gawin na hindi nila kayang gawin, and okay ako doon. No, I don't need to compete, I don't need to compare myself. These are the dialogues, these are the lines of a person who has high self-concept, who has high self-esteem of himself. No? But if you don't, kapag mababa ka sa mga ganyang bagay, then madali ka ma-insecure. Dahil feeling mo wala ka, feeling mo wala kang galing, feeling mo wala kang abilidad. No? Ano pa? Less stress about money. No? Because money and material things is not everything in this world. No? So, kapag dumating na kayo sa level of maturity, kapag dumating na kayo sa level of self-mastery, malalaman niyo yan. There are so many things in this life that's more worth it than money and material success. No? Money, I'm not saying na money is not important. Money is important. But it should not dictate how you're going to lead your life. Money should be used as an avenue, not to slave yourself, but to use it so that you can free yourself. No? That's the proper use of money. Okay? Ano pa ba? Ability to control your emotions. No? Hindi sa lahat ng oras, hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon ay dapat mong i-express ang iyong emotion. No? Because sometimes, some people, they tend to exploit you. No? So you have to pick the situations wherein you can uh, manifest or you can show your emotions. No? Ano pa? Uh, you can pursue your ambitions. You can reach for your goals. Sabi ko nga, achieve, achieve higher, no? Reach for the skies. No? Because for someone who has self-mastery, walang imposible sa taong yan. No? Because alam niya sa sarili niya na ang lahat ng bagay, kapag if you put yourself, your full self into it, you can accomplish it kahit ano pa man yan. No? Doubt and self-doubt and negativities will not be in the way if you have self-mastery, if you have a full knowledge of yourself. No? And also, important life decisions. Napakaraming mga important life decisions na nakasalalay on how do we know ourselves better. No? Like for example, selecting your partner or selecting your relationships. No? You should really know yourself because there's a danger na hindi nyo kilala yung sarili nyo and you will be trapped to this person, hindi magiging masaya ang inyong relationship. Ganon din sa career. No? I think all of you here are first year. So how many of you are really interested in engineering? How many of you are interested really in hospitality management? No? Is that course congruent with your personality? Is that course aligned to your likes and dislikes? Kasi kung hindi nyo talaga yan gusto, you will not grow and you will not succeed long term. So that's why ngayon pa lang, na first year kayo, kailangan nyo talagang pag-isipan ng maigi. No? Know yourself if you're going to really succeed and grow in this career. And how to live your life. No? Napakarami yung ating definition of success. Ano ba yung success para sa atin? No? So, again, yung definition natin ng success, dapat manggaling yan sa ating sarili. Tayo mismo ang magdidikta kung ano ba yung happy life, ano ba yung life na gusto ko. No? Hindi yan dapat manggaling sa parents, hindi yan dapat manggaling sa teacher, hindi dapat yan manggaling sa social media. Dapat kayo mismo ang magdidikta kung ano ba yung buhay na gusto ko, ano ba yung buhay na kung saan masasabi kong masaya ako at kontento ako. No? And pag sinabi natin masaya at kontento, hindi yan ibig sabihin na may pera, may sikat na trabaho, may magandang asawa, may bahay, may sasakyan. No. So, again, the truth of how happy your life will be totally be directed by you. No? So, all of these things, it starts with your journey of knowing yourself. No? I'm really hoping no na ngayon first year pa lang kayo, no? You get to know yourself more. No? Kasi ngayon sa panahon ngayon, there's a lot of tendency that you will be lost if you will not have a self mastery. If you will not have a full self-concept, if you will not going to attain a holistic self-knowledge. Okay, so this is my last slide. Unfortunately, I'm supposed to have this, I intend to have this uh, lesson presentation for, sabi ko, 10 to 15 minutes, but unfortunately, umabot na siya ng, I think, 45 to 1 hour. So, it's unavoidable, no? Because I cannot deliver the lesson without giving you examples, without relating it to real life situations. Kasi kung babasahin ko lang yung buong slide, talagang aabot na talaga siya ng 5 minutes. But what's the point of reading the text? No, because all of you can read the text. What's important really is how do we relate the text? Do we relate the content to our life? How are we going to make the content change our lives? No? That's why mahaba yung discussions. No? And I'm really hoping na hindi kayo na bored. I tried to, that's why mapansin niyo nung umpisa, I tried to have it in pure English pero mahirap. Not because na hindi ko kaya, but I find it hard to make a connection with you, no, regarding that topic. No? So I think I will have this type of medium mix na lang, no? So that I can have greater connection with you and I can give a better emphasis, no, on the content, and I do hope that you will have a greater appreciation to the lesson that I'm giving you. Mahirap kaya mag-record, no? So I'm really hoping that you are watching this video from start to finish. No, otherwise you will really not appreciate this discussion. No, so I will leave you with this quote from Dada Bhagwan, no, an Indian philosopher. So who am I? So this is the question. So not knowing the answer to this question is the greatest death to the soul, no, of one's own self. Okay, so yeah. So again, that is the greatest challenge for us to answer the question, who am I? And we embark on our journey towards achieving self-knowledge and eventually self-mastery for ourselves. So again, thank you everyone, dear students. I do hope that you have achieved something, you have gained something, and siguro sa mga points na yon, I was able to alter even portions of your life na uh, makatulong or improve kahit paano. Okay, so I do hope that most of you had subscribed already to our YouTube channel. Make sure na naka-login kayo so that you can subscribe. Please comment also under this video kung ano yung mga important thoughts na napag-isipan ninyo during watching this video, or a question that you would like to ask. Please comment in the section below. And I will give you recitation points for those who will share their insights or share something that had transpired to them while watching this video. No, kapag nilike ko yung inyong comment, or nag-comment ako sa comment ninyo, then it means that I have already graded your response. So thank you everyone. Thank you dear students. Please continue to monitor our website as well as our Facebook group. Thank you everyone. God bless and stay safe.